Hi, my name is Molly. I do mental health videos and I am trying to break the stigma around mental health disorders and hidden illnesses as well. Welcome back if you've seen any of my previous videos, and welcome if you're completely new. I just want to start by saying I did actually I just wanted to start by saying I did actually get halfway through filming this and then realised that I haven't pressed play on the camera. So today I wanted to talk about toxic mental health culture. I do have some notes, so if you do see me looking down, that's why, because I just want to try to make sure that we try to make sure that I keep a structure to the video so it's easier for you to follow. I just wanted to keep a structure to the videos so that you can find it easier to follow along, and it's just more, it just today. So the first thing that I wrote down here is misinformation. So the reason that I wrote misinformation is basically because I do think with social media especially, a lot of misinformation about mental health and mental health disorders is shared online. Now, I don't necessarily think that it's done in a malicious way, but what can happen is, especially with certain disorders that are quite misunderstood, which to be fair is most mental health disorders, they are a lot more complicated than somebody might realise who doesn't suffer. But what can happen is, depending on how the disorder is portrayed in the media, say for example, if somebody wanted to do a video about raising awareness for OCD but they've never had it, they might see the media portraying it as a disorder that means you're scared of germs and you're just super clean, and they might relay that information trying to spread awareness without realising that it's far more complicated than that, and a lot of people who've got OCD aren't scared of germs and are not very clean. So it's that's what I meant by misinformation. It's not being words. It's not being malicious, it's not purposely spreading information. It is just that they are getting their information from a place that's already incorrect and then relaying that to try and spread awareness. But then what can happen is it ends up affirming in other people's minds their belief that they had from, say, the media or the information that's already out there, and it affirms that that is correct, and then they'll go on to believe that, and then they'll go on to spread that information as well. So that's why misinformation online is quite a big issue, and I just want to that's basically why I started the channel in the first place, is I want this channel to be a place where everything that is spoken about is from the point of the people who are actually suffering, and the information that is said is correct and also helps spread true awareness. And also just, I started the channel kind of just therapeutically as well for me, but that's a big issue, I think. Yeah, so I want, sorry, so the next thing I put down is self-care done right. Now, I think there is a massive problem with self-care toxicity, and also like self-love, self-care routines. And now when I say this, so self-care done right. So what I mean by that is that there seems to be an expectation now of what self-care is supposed to look like. Obviously, self-care is anything that you do to look after yourself, to make yourself feel a bit better, spend time on yourself. You know, all of those things are important. Self-care and self-love is hugely important, but it's this conception that you have to be doing it in a certain way for you to be doing it right, which is so toxic, and it can make people feel like there's not a point in it's not a point in trying, or like they're not looking after themselves enough, almost as if they're bringing if they feel bad, that they feel bad because they're not doing X, Y, Z. And I think, and when I say this, I really don't mean it against any YouTubers. I'm not bashing YouTubers. I watch YouTube. I've grown up watching YouTube. I love so many creators. But I think sometimes, say, if you see a self-care routine, now people forget that when the person's filming that video, they have made a plan for the video. They've probably wrote pages of notes. They know exactly what they're going to do. They've set everything up. They are filming. They've probably took multiple takes of each thing that they're doing. It's a planned video. So they have the day that you see unfold on the camera. That is the result of the video that they filmed. They didn't actually experience that day that you were seeing. That is like their self-care times. How would you say it? I was going to say times 1,000, but that's not quite right. That's the perfect version of what their self-care day would look like. And they're not, I don't think there's anything wrong with them putting those videos out. Obviously they're there to give people ideas, people like watching them, but I think sometimes people forget that that video has been made for a purpose. It's been edited, it's been cut. They didn't actually experience the day that you were seeing. There was a lot of work that went into that day. But sometimes when people watch it and then they compare how they're maybe looking after themselves, the things that they're doing, the products they're using, the time that they spend, and they can start to believe that they're not looking after themselves. And then I do also see it from the other side. I don't necessarily mean YouTubers, I just mean in general, people on the internet. We all know the internet can be quite a harsh place. Will put people down because of how they're looking after themselves or the skincare routine they're doing, and it can become quite a vicious words, literally words. It can become quite a hostile environment. So you can have somebody who may be doing their best but be told that it's not good enough, when there is no right or wrong with self-care and self-love. The whole point of self-care is that you do things that make you feel good, you look after yourself, but there's no set amount of time. Not everybody, nobody has that time to do. Even the people that we think of, the rich or famous or, have got all this money, people in that position still work. They still have things they need to do. Nobody has the time to spend every day getting a really long bath and doing every face mask and skin routine, can't speak today, every face mask and skin mask and eye mask and lip mask and scrubbing and exfoliating. Nobody has the time to do that every day, all day. Maybe there's a 0.5% of people, but that's not reality. And you shouldn't feel bad if your self-care day is taking an extra 5 minutes when you're having your coffee in the morning, taking a bath. Doesn't have to be a special bath, just taking a bath, reading that book you wanted to watch, watching that film that you wanted to watch, switching off, meditating for 10 minutes. It really is just about what makes you feel better. There's no one size fits all for how you should do your own self-care. And that is a massive point that I wanted to make, because I do see a lot of that at the moment, and we've got enough pressures already. We don't need to be pressuring ourselves into doing somebody else's imagined self-care routine, if that makes sense. So another thing that I've put down is branding disorders. Now, again, I have put here as well, I don't have issue with YouTubers making money or taking brand deals. At the end of the day, if we want that content, then they need to get paid. You can't work for free. And some of these YouTubers are doing 3-4 videos a week, sometimes more, even if it's less. So much work goes into doing just one video, especially if they're doing vlogs. And it's a job. So I know sometimes people get upset or can become quite offended when a YouTuber takes a brand deal or gets paid for what they're doing, but they're still providing a service at the end of the day, and they couldn't do what they're doing without it being a job. It just wouldn't be sustainable. They wouldn't be able to do it. So I've got no issue at all with people getting paid to do their job. But my issue is when somebody takes a disorder and tries to almost brand that disorder. Now, I'm not talking about, say, if there's a YouTuber and they've got a disorder and they're talking about it and they're making people aware of it and people feel connected to them. That's good. That I've not got a problem with that. It's when you start to see YouTubers that might be selling a top that literally just says anxiety. You wouldn't get, it just annoys me so much because it's almost as if it's that issue again of, oh, a cute little personality trait, but you don't actually understand how that disorder can completely destroy someone's life or be destroying someone's life. It's not cute. It doesn't belong on a t-shirt in that way. And by doing that, you are minimizing the effects that it has on other people and also minimizing the effect of how other people view people that might have that disorder. So, you wouldn't put, and I'm trying to think. So sometimes you get, obviously, with cancer, you can get t-shirts to raise awareness or to raise money, but nobody would just walk around with a top that just says cancer. Because you wouldn't do it because it's disrespectful to people that have got cancer, and also why would you want to wear a top that just has something that's so awful? But yet I've seen people do this with other disorders, or oh, I'm so OCD, or it's almost if they're using it as, so I'm so anxious or I'm so anxiety. It's a mental health disorder and it is offensive, and that is something I get really upset but also annoyed about, because there's one thing raising awareness, but just having a top that states a disorder with maybe a little cute symbol or your branding on that top, it's not cute and it's not fair for people that are actually suffering. And there might be some people that say, oh no, I don't mind it, and everyone's allowed their own opinion. But for me, I just think that crosses the line from people who are doing a job and people who are trying to entertain people or spread awareness, and then people who are literally just trying to capitalize on a mental health disorder. And a lot of the time people might have young audiences who might suffer with mental health disorders, and I just think that it is taking advantage of those viewers who might not yet understand how degrading that might be to them or the disorder, if that makes sense. So that was a bit of a rant, but that's something that personally does really annoy me. And then got two more things. So I said competitiveness. Now, what I mean by this is, especially, it did start, I think it did, well, it's been around since the internet really. If back when people had eating disorders, and there would be forums where, I'm not going to say the name of the forums, there's a word that describes the thing I'm talking about, but I don't want to trigger anyone and I don't want to give anybody who's not aware of them information where they could potentially go out and find dangerous information. But there was a specific type of community that was created as a front. So it was supposed to be a community to help people that were suffering with eating disorders. However, once you actually came into the community, and obviously people going into that community are already in a vulnerable state if they're looking for support or people like them. So they were probably most of the time already ill. And then this community would be full of people trying to basically make those people more sick. So putting ideas into their head, and a lot of that came with then competition. So it would be that person has gone this far with their eating disorder, I need to go further, you need to go further, you need to be worse than them, or you're not as sick, you're not worth as much as them because you haven't done XYZ, or you are still having XYZ and this person stopped it. And it was a toxic environment. It probably still exists. It definitely will still exist because the internet. But yeah, it's such a toxic thing. And that then spread into Instagram, into I was just checking. It went off before. I wanted to make sure I wasn't just talking to myself again. Yeah. So then that spread onto the internet. So especially, I'm using eating disorders as an example, but it can be with any illness. You know, self, and any type of illness that can have. Well, really, it's anything. Actually, just ignore any illness. There can become this toxic way of thinking that if I am not as sick as them, I am not worth as much. And then that's why I don't really like. So I use this as an example, and I'm not bashing anybody. However, recently there was a discussion, like a debate about the YouTuber Edina Cuny. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And I want to say straight away, I don't think she's a bad person. I didn't really used to watch her when, probably at the age when I would have been watching her. She wasn't somebody that I was watching, but like people probably know, I'd seen her through the Shane Dawson documentary, and I'd seen a few of her videos after that. Now, it's difficult, and I don't want to be commenting on anybody's mental health because I'm not there, I don't know them, I don't know what they're going through, I don't know if they're maybe getting treatment that we're not aware of. We only see a very small percentage of that person's life. But I'm going to use the example of, she is extremely underweight, and it's so clearly obvious that she's underweight. Now, she has stated that she has suffered from an eating disorder in the past, so that is knowledge, that's public knowledge. And she has been to eating disorder rehab centres, and she's been in hospital, and she's had treatment in the past. But as she, since the with the Shane Dawson documentary, people can see a steady decline in her health in relation to her weight, and it's gotten to the point where she is putting images out online where she is so unbelievably underweight, and it is dangerous to put those images out there. Obviously, the main concern is her. You want her to get better, you want her to get help. However, she has a massive young audience. The majority of her viewers are young, and it's sad, but a lot of the time as well, she probably will have viewers that also suffer from eating disorders because they try to find comfort in somebody who is well known or somebody out there that they can relate to. So she will have these vulnerable people watching her videos, seeing her photos, and a lot of the time, and as I said before, it's not it's not a purposeful thing that people do, and it might sound crazy to people who have never suffered with a disorder before, but it's so easy to see hair so thin and start, especially if you're in the middle of an eating disorder, be thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not sick enough, I'm not worth enough, or even, well, I'm not as thin as that, so I'm obviously okay, when we all know it doesn't matter what size you are, anybody of any body shape, of anybody can have an eating disorder. You can't always tell. A lot of the time you can't tell, to be honest. So, but it's that idea of, well, I'm obviously not as sick as her and she's fine, because she's portraying that she's fine, and that's the issue. So she doesn't address the fact that she's ill, and she's tried to almost tell her audience and act to her audience as if she's doing fine, there's nothing wrong with her, but there obviously is she's obvious. I don't, but she's obviously struggling. She's obviously ill, and it's harmful to people watching, saying or making out as if there's nothing wrong with you, and then putting images and videos of yourself when you are clearly, to anybody who understands an eating disorder or mental health, or even people that don't really have much knowledge of eating disorders and mental health, it's obvious that she's severely underweight. But for vulnerable people, people who might be in recovery, or people who are really in the depths of an eating disorder, or people who are young and vulnerable, they are seeing that, and not only are they hearing her say that she's fine, but then seeing that image, they're also seeing the image anyway. So even if they know that she's ill, it can still be triggering, it can still be difficult, and it can still add to the toxic environment that I was talking about before. And it's the same with all I would say it's mainly an influencer thing, just because they are in the spotlight. It's celebrities as well, though. It's just that we see a lot more, I think, of people's personal life with YouTube. There's a lot of YouTubers out there who clearly are still struggling, but they're hiding that they're struggling, and I completely understand not wanting people to know your business, and not wanting other people to know that you're struggling. You don't have to tell people that you're struggling, but YouTubers who have videos such as like exercise videos, exercise videos, or what I eat in a day, if they are struggling with an eating disorder, or they are struggling in other ways that is affecting their, so say if you're doing a what I eat in a day, but in fact you're not actually eating anything in that day, but you're putting a video out showing people, this is what I eat in a day, this is how much I exercise, this is what I look like, but actually you're unwell. It's not your fault that you are unwell, but it is your responsibility to not share that information to young vulnerable people, that you are eating this and doing this exercise and then you look like that. Because if that's not the reason why you look like that, you are setting unrealistic targets or unrealistic goals for people that might be looking to you because they believe that you are someone who's healthy, or they believe that they can trust your information that you're putting out there, and then they might follow what you're doing and what you're eating, and they won't get the same results because that's not actually what you're doing and what you're eating, and that can be really disheartening for the individual that has come to you for help and support. And I know that no, you're not necessarily, people put themselves out on the internet, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily wanting to or should have to take on the responsibility of every single person that's watching. But as an adult that is putting content out, you should still be aware and understand that there is a responsibility that comes with that. And if you've got vulnerable children or you've got young impressionable minds watching your videos, you should be making sure the information that you put out there is at least factual. And it goes the same way as I've seen some so-called healthy lifestyle channels who recommend eating next to nothing in a day is not enough for anybody, and they portray it as a healthy lifestyle when in fact the person watching might lose weight by following what they are given, weight following the diet that that person's shown, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be healthy. And a lot of it, and that can be quite dangerous as well. So that was basically what I meant when I said competitiveness. And also, oh yeah, so the last point that I had was being ill and portraying yourself as healthy. So I kind of went through that as well. So yeah, as a whole, I think that the internet can be a great thing. I'm using the internet now to try and share my information and my knowledge and spread awareness, and I watch so many amazing YouTubers that I think are doing an excellent job. There's Marie Rose, there's what Maya did, there's what Maya did next. I'm trying to, I watch so much YouTube, and then as soon as I get in front of the camera, I forget everything that I've ever learned and known apparently. Yeah, so there's so many positive YouTubers out there that are trying their best to spread awareness about mental health and also share their lives without being problematic or without being negative. And like I said, not everybody who is playing in to the toxic nature of mental health is doing it on purpose, but we do need to try as a society to be a bit more understanding, or at least be willing to learn. And if you are given criticism about how you spread something, or the information that you've given might be wrong and somebody tries to correct you, please don't take it as an offence. Obviously, if they're really rude, then that's another thing completely. But if it's just somebody that has tried to express their views on how something may have upset them, or how it was received, or that the information's wrong, the best thing that we can do is take that on board and learn from it and try and not let it happen again. If I found out that I was given incorrect information, I would want people to tell me so that I could correct it, and then moving forward I would know that new piece of information and I could make sure that the information that I'm putting out is correct. Because the younger generation now, they're only going to get more and more immersed in social media and the internet. We want to try and make it the best place it possibly can be. Hopefully one day there'll be a point where it can be completely safe. I think that's a long way off. The best thing that we can try to do is just make it a place where people feel supported, and we're spreading correct information, and we're also not pressuring anyone or setting expectations or unreachable goals, and we're just showing as much of the truth as possible. Obviously, I'm not saying I want people to stop doing the routines videos and the a day in my life videos. I just want people to remember that you are seeing the best possible outcome of what their day could look like, because they're filming it for you. And it's not to say that they're being fake or they're lying about what they're doing on that particular day. It just means that they want to show you the best parts of their day. They put effort and work into what they're producing and putting out for you. They want it to be the best. And yeah, so that is basically what I wanted to talk about today. I have got quite a lot of other topics that I want to go through, and I also do still want to start my biggest misconceptions of series. If you haven't been here before and this is your first video, I basically said in my last video I want to start a series of the biggest misconceptions, insert disorder, and I want to try and get the true facts and the myths that might be out there and bust the myths and put out the facts, and then hopefully we can get a conversation started, we can get knowledge spread the correct way. I don't know what I was doing with my hands. Yeah, so that's it really for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do give me any feedback or comment down below. If I've said anything wrong or not factual, please let me know. And again, I don't want this to come across as me being negative. It's just, they're just my opinions. And if you have different opinions, then that is absolutely fine. I'm not here to tell anybody how to think, but I wouldn't mind having a discussion down below. Not an argument, but a discussion. And yeah, so if you like the video, please click the like button, and if you want to see more, please subscribe and click the bell notification, because that'll let you know when I'm uploading. And any suggestions that you have for videos, you can email me in my email contact down below, or you can follow me on Instagram, it'll be here somewhere, and also TikTok, because I have been getting used to doing videos on there as well. So yeah, again, thank you, hope it wasn't too rambly, and I will see you next time. Bye.